Hey everybody, welcome to Gluten-free for All TV. The holidays are just around the corner, so what better time than now to learn to make gluten-free pumpkin pie. This is a really simple recipe. If you can manage to get gluten-free pastry, by all means make it with that. If you can't get your hands on any, here's a really easy recipe to follow. This recipe will make 2 9-inch pie crusts. In a large mixing bowl, add 5 cups of a gluten-free flour blend, preferably something light with a lot of corn, tapioca, or rice flour. 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of gluten-free baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of xanthan gum. Give it a good mix and add 2 cups of lard or vegetable shortening. This is what's going to give our crust a light and flaky texture. Just make sure your lard is cold. With your hands, gently mix the flour and the lard together until you get little pea-sized balls. These little lumps of lard are actually what gives the crust a light and flaky texture. So try not to overmix, but make sure everything is well incorporated and evenly distributed in the bowl. In a measuring cup, add 1 medium-sized free-range egg, give it a quick whisk, and then with really cold water, fill the cup to 3/4 of a cup. Finally, add 1 tablespoon of vinegar, regular white vinegar or apple cider vinegar, whatever you have on hand. Add your liquid to your flour blend, and with your hands, knead the dough until it becomes nice and smooth. If your dough is a bit too dry or a bit too wet, just add a little bit flour or a little bit more liquid to adjust the consistency. Split the dough into 2 balls and let rest for at least half an hour. Simply cover with cling film and pop in the fridge. Let's move on to our pumpkin pie filling. In another large bowl, add 2/3 cups of light brown sugar, a half a cup of white granulated sugar, 2 tablespoons of gluten-free flour, a half teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and finally 1/4 teaspoon of each ground ginger, ground cloves, and ground allspice. With a whisk, make sure all your dry ingredients are really well combined and you've pretty much removed all the lumps. To your dry ingredients, add 1½ cups of canned pumpkin. That's about the same as 1 standard can. To this, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of molasses, preferably light if you have it. I used regular and it worked out just fine. To bind our filling together, add 3 large free-range eggs. If you only have small or medium eggs, that's okay. Just add a 4th egg. It won't make any difference to your batter. Again, with a whisk or an electric mixer, incorporate everything really well till nice and smooth. This is looking pretty good. Lastly, to our pumpkin mixture, we're going to add 1 cup of whipping cream. The cream will give our pie a nice, smooth, creamy, rich taste and consistency. Give a good mix, being careful not to incorporate too much air. You don't want air bubbles in your pumpkin pie. Set it aside and let's start rolling out our dough. A really easy trick to transfer your dough from the countertop to your pie dish is actually to roll it directly on a sheet of parchment paper. Just place a little extra leftover lard or some water on your countertop and place your parchment paper on top. It will stick to your countertop this way. Each dough ball will make the base of 1 9-inch pie. Simply put your unused dough ball in a freezer bag and pop it in the freezer. It'll last a long time. Now I've decided to work this dough with my hands to get it in a roundabout shape before I start with my rolling pin. Of course, you can roll your dough however you want, whatever works for you. Aim to roll your dough about 1/4 inch thick. As this gluten-free dough is very delicate, I wouldn't go any thinner than that. Make sure when you're rolling it out, you leave at least an extra couple inches on the side. It needs to fit the bottom of your pie pan as well as come up the sides. Turn the parchment paper over and lower the dough into the pan. Let the dough fall down into the corner rather than pushing or forcing it. Simply remove any overhanging dough with a knife. With your fingers, you can now smooth out any cracks, pinch the top and make a lovely decorative edging, and finally finish it with an egg wash so it turns lovely golden brown. A really easy egg wash would be 1 part egg, 1 part cream. Give it a good whisk, and with a pastry brush, gently cover your pie. Finally, pour in your pumpkin filling and bake at 325 degrees Fahrenheit or 170 degrees Celsius. Bake in a preheated oven for 40 to 50 minutes. The pie filling should be cooked through, slightly jiggly, and your crust golden brown. It's best to let this pie rest for at least a day, so make it a day ahead. Serve your pumpkin pie with loads of whipped cream and, of course, great friends and family. If you liked that video and you'd like to see more, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching!